Yeah. So
Here we
I'm
are.
here. This is Al Kamadan, and I am from Global Women Power, and this is a non-profit. And we had been running it from 2015, and our main focus is in women empowerment by providing them financial independence. So we had been successful in helping about 2,000 plus women by helping them skill training, business mentorship, or training in any field, life skill, etc. So we started a new series. It's called Sheroes, in which we invite women of excellence. You are one of them. And I was going through your bio, and I said, "Oh my God, you might also not remember what all you have done by now." But we are very honored that you have come up to our Shiro's series. And then we like to know from you what you're doing at present, which, it might be difficult for you to comprehend, but then how it started, and so that you can be an inspiration for our viewers.
Oh, absolutely. So thank you, Alkan. Thank you for having me here, and thank you for everything you're doing. It's, of course, very near and dear to my heart to help women and help women grow and become great successes, live their dreams. And it's one of my big motivators is that I have the opportunity to live my dream, and I want to pay it forward and make sure that others get the same opportunities.
That is true.
So I'm the founder and CEO of Elom, and Elom is a supply chain company, a global supply chain company. We are headquartered in Fremont, California, and we work and are active out of 19 locations globally. And essentially, what we do is we are producing and shipping product for very big corporations in the technology space, in automotive, in medical, and in a number of other very regulated industries. We do business with, as I said, very big corporations. They outsource part of the supply chain to us. We buy their materials, we assemble, we distribute, we manage both the physical supply chain and the digital supply chain and the financial supply chain.
What does ALM stand for? Is it abbreviation?
It was originally an acronym, but right now nobody is really using that more. But it was originally Advanced Logistics Operations and Manufacturing.
Mhm.
So we are a mixture between manufacturing, contract manufacturer, a fulfillment company, and a technology company.
So, listening to you and viewing your profile, if somebody has to start and then, they look at you and say, "Oh my God, I can never be there."
Well,
So,
first of all, I think it's important that nobody wants to be like me. They should live their own dreams, and they should bring their own strengths and their own vision for their lives and their business. So I had one for my business, and that was right for me, but it doesn't mean it's right for everybody else. So there's nothing wrong with living a different life if that's what you want, right? There's nothing wrong with starting a company and not having that company be global and working out of 19 locations if that's what you want. So I think as you are thinking about your life and what is it you want to do with your life, and you know in many ways, of course, we all have the same time. So you can make decisions around your life. Even if we start from a little bit different backgrounds, we can all make decisions around our lives. And so think about what's important for you, and then grow, take it from there. So for me, I was always very inspired to think big. I knew from very, very early on that I had this entrepreneurial spirit, and having my own company was something I dreamt about from a very young age. I think when um, other teenage girls were lying on the bed and dreaming of Prince Charming. I was dreaming of having my own company, and I did get married to my lifelong partner, and so I did get my Prince Charming. But I'm always saying that's icing on the cake. So because I also got to go to do the entrepreneurial journey, and so the way you start is you do a plan for what will it take to do this, and you surround yourself with people, not with naysayers, but with people who believe in you and who will tell you honestly if you're on the wrong track, or and also will celebrate your successes and victories, right? And I do think that it's very important who you have in your life, who you share your life with, because they can be supporters or detractors from your dreams. And I think a lot of unhappiness comes from when you're not in a relationship where that's in sync. So think about what it is you want to do with your life, and build around that. The other thing to think about is, of course, okay, so if I have a dream, what are the steps I need to take to make that dream come true? And so if you want to be the president of the United States, you don't start out saying, okay, tomorrow I'll be the president of the United States. You start building a political career. So it's the same when you want to run a company. You need to have certain skills and knowledge, and you need to have a business idea you believe in. You need to try to, if you want to make it your own company, you need to try to save up so that you have a little bit of start capital. Or you can go and run a company for somebody else. So I had many years where I ran business units and companies for other companies, such that I got the skill set and learned. And you can think about it as a dress rehearsal, and there's no reason to do the dress rehearsal on your own dime, right? So you can do that and work for somebody else, and make sure you do your best such that you both learn from it and add value to the people who are believing in you. And then once you have that skill set and that experience, you can start your own. And there's nothing wrong with trying to start your own early. I mean, I think a lot of the experience that I'm using is actually not so much experience from my MBA and from teaching at the business school, or maybe from some of the bigger companies I worked in, but it's the school of hard knocks, things you learn as you go. That being said, since we are doing business with large corporations, it's very valuable for me to have the experience and have been sitting on the other side and understand a little bit the decision making and what's going on in their minds. And I'm sure subconsciously, every once in a while, I'm using some of the stuff I learned in business school, or I taught in business school. But a lot of what I use on an everyday basis, frankly, is just things I've learned on the job. And when you think about it, so much has changed since I went to school, so it kind of makes sense that that the skill sets need to be new, and you need to think about things in a different context and use a different tool set than you had when I started out in business.
Were you a little girl when you came to America, or were you an adult and expanding your business here?
I was an adult, but I hadn't started Elom. I started Elom out of Fremont, California, so where it's still headquartered. So I bought a one-way ticket in 1990, I was 4 years on the East Coast, and then in '94 I moved on to California, and all my friends kept saying, well, next stop will be Fiji Islands if you continue like that. But I stopped in California and have been in Silicon Valley ever since.
A flight of faith, and you've done well.
Yeah. But I don't think that there's a right or wrong time to start your own company. It really depends on you and your skill set and what you want to do with the company. So I was very fortunate because I did learn a lot. And I think it's one of the things I'd encourage anybody to do is learn from everybody around you. And I learn every single day. People often ask me, who are your mentors? And to many extent, my staff members are my mentors, right? Because I learn from them every single day. And it's one of the beauty of having such a diverse workforce that you give different points of view and different input. But also I've got a lot of friends and other advisors who are really functioning as my mentors right now. But very early on, I had some really fantastic mentors. So I was in politics at one point of time, and it gave me the experience of being around really great people, and I learned how to think along some of their lines, and I learned different habits from them, and that has served me fantastically.
What position did you run for?
I ran for parliament in Denmark. So I was very active since I was 16, 17 years old. I ran for parliament first time when I was 21. I served briefly in the Danish parliament. I was also part of the United Nations General Assembly. As part of the political delegation, I was very involved in the European Union. And so I ran several and chaired several international organizations. And it gave me a very valuable experience. And as I said, it really taught me a lot about leadership. And, especially when you run global volunteer organizations where people are very purpose-driven. And you don't pay people a salary, right? They show up because they really want to be part of the purpose. And they're looking for you as a leader to drive the organization towards the goals. You learn how to motivate everybody around you and how to keep things on track even when people are going off in another direction, etc. So it was very, very valuable experience for me. So again, anybody who are listening in who are thinking about, okay, what are my how do I build the personal foundation? I think one of the things is to take a leadership position in any area where you're active, in any organization, in any cause that's dear to your heart, and work around that and learn.
Did you have any challenges as a woman that you can share and how you overcame them? We interviewed a few people, and there were two Black women, and first of all, no men were marketing what they had to offer, and people were saying to them, "Oh, I want to talk to the owner. I am the owner. Well, who's your boss?" We had that. You can watch the videos.
Yeah, no, I mean, certainly that can happen, right? And it's not that it didn't happen in the beginning of the company. I mean, I have fun stories I can tell you about that. Like people would call and ask for Mr. Elam, and obviously there's no Mr. Elam. Or people would ask when we were just starting up, and I would pick up the phone, the switchboard like everybody else, right? And they would say, "Oh, I want to speak with somebody who has authority," and then they would transfer them to a man. and you know, some random man in the organization. So that was always a little bit fun. So I got a chuckle out of that. But you know, I think over time, especially I'd say when Elam was started, and that's now almost 24 years ago, there was still a lot of discrimination going, and certainly there were people who were very reluctant to deal with women at the time, and the biggest deal I walked away from was between 10 and 20 million dollars, where I could see that the person on the other end just couldn't deal with a woman. And it got to the point where I decided that I could not make a deal with them, and I walked out of there and took my business with me. And so that person lost out on about $20 million worth of business, because they were not really set up to do business with a woman. That they didn't have that mentality, that mindset.
What goes around comes around.
Yeah. So what I'm always saying is, you know, it's think about that you're not just a victim, but the other person is really becoming the victim, right? Because if people cannot do business with you, then it's really backfiring on them, maybe more than it is on you, right? So it was not like I didn't do that business. I just took it to other place.
Level, yeah.
And so I think, you know, it's been one of the things I've been looking at, that women make about 60% of the purchasing decisions, about 80% in some areas and in some countries. And I don't think that women have used that power enough, right, to make purchasing decisions according to how corporations and companies act. And I think that's changing now. I think it's been one of the good things the last couple of years, is that everybody has been thinking a little bit more about who they want to do business with and where they want to put their money. And that's a very good thing in my book. So that's a positive thing. And the same also with investment. Think about where you're investing your money, and is it somebody whose values are aligned with your values? And
well, yeah, we just interviewed someone, and she said all women, all people are born with powers, but they give them away.
Yeah, that's a way.
So you reminded me of that.
and I think women are not thinking so much about it. They you know, and so it's I think it's really changed over the last year or two, that everybody's thinking way more on these issues, and I'm really delighted about that. And then, of course, we want to get more women on boards. We want to see more women go up through the ranks. So I have a very soft spot for entrepreneurs, right? But also have a soft spot for women coming up through the ranks in the organizations, or coming in on boards and being very active there. So generally, I think the more diversity we get in the organizations, the stronger they become. My point of view is, if you're working for an organization that doesn't appreciate the diversity and the diverse thoughts you're bringing, find another place to work. Don't fight the uphill battle there. Why should you use your positive energy in fighting a battle? Instead, go and support somebody who's much more inclusive and supportive. So I'd encourage everybody to think about which battles they should be fighting, because they may just be fighting a battle for somebody who doesn't deserve it.
I was getting ready to say they don't deserve it.
Yeah, and my perspective on those organizations is that they're simply not going to survive. And they eventually they'll just die out. They don't get that diverse thought, business thought that we all know are going to help organizations succeed.
What do you do outside of your business? Like hobby or something? Or who has time for that?
Well, I serve on a number on the boards and in leadership positions in a number of organizations. Mainly, so I'm on the board of National Association of Manufacturers. It's an important activity trying to support manufacturing, mainly in the US. And of course, one of the areas I'm working on is getting more women and inclusivity into manufacturing. It's a wonderful career for women. I'm also very involved in the Women's Business Enterprise National Council, which organizes about 16,000 certified women-owned businesses. And it's really the corporations that have founded WeBank to be a vehicle for the women-owned businesses to do business with the corporations. So I'm very active in the forum, which represents the 16,000 women, and also locally in the associated organization. I am very active in a group called C200. That's sort of an invitation-only women's executive network. Pretty exclusive, and I'm running the Silicon Valley group. I'm chairing How Women Lead Silicon Valley board, which works to get more women on boards. So you get I think you see a pattern here. So I'm very active in those different organizations. And when I'm not doing that, then I like to read, and I love performing arts. As we are going through this COVID crisis, I'm really just wanting to go back and enjoy performing arts. But I'm very fortunate that I have a good setup at home and can listen and watch and enjoy past performances. So I'm certainly doing that. And another big hobby of mine is traveling, and I have had years where I traveled more than 150 days. So some of it business travel and some of it personal. And so last year has been a big change for me, and certainly looking forward to getting out there and experiencing a lot of additional activities. Fortunately, over the last couple of years, I've been traveling so much that I have a lot of good memories to look back at. I was in Antarctica a couple of years ago. I was at the Arctic Circle 2 years ago, and certainly have been on safari in Africa many times, and traveled to Australia and Asia. So my staff members always give me a hard time because I do have the travel bug and have been most places and love to talk about it. So if you press the button, I will talk about my travel activities.
Well, I know someone, an entrepreneur, he traveled from one country to another. And I think it was Israel, I can't remember. But they held him for 3 hours because all of the security border officials were looking at his passport. It was like 300 pages. Where did it go?
Yeah, I know.
So, Hannah, you did not mention kitchen.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think you're right about me. Yeah, I love to cook, and I get a lot of satisfaction out of cooking. It's sort of a creative outlet for me to cook up things. I sometimes I'll use recipes, but a lot of times I'll just invent things as I go. And it sort of brings me back to the supply chain and what I'm doing professionally, because I'm always saying supply chain is like cooking a very complex meal. You need to buy all the stuff. You need to have everything come together, all the different dishes at the right time and serve it up perfectly. So that's I love cooking, and I love doing supply chain, and see a lot of parallels in it.
So I have another question for you. You talked, and in your talk, most of the mechanics are being discussed, how things should be done. So what is the role of magic in your life?
The little magic in my life.
Yeah,
I think part of the magic is I was fortunate to be born with a very positive outlook on life and a strong sense of humor. So I can laugh at most things, not sad things, obviously, but I can see the humor in many situations, and I think that sense of humor helps me and my surroundings go through life. I also like to help others, and it's deeply ingrained in me. It's one of my core values, and and by doing that, I think I get even more positive and happy, and I think that radiates out to people in my environment. And so I think that's part of my secret sauce. If we go back to the kitchen with the sauce, it's part of my secret sauce is to the positive outlook and the energy that comes with it.
and will you also say that luck played an important role in all this?
I think I think luck plays a role in a lot of different respects, right? But then we all have different luck, and we also have different adversity. Um, and part of it is how do you react to adversity, and how do you move on and put it behind you, right? And also, when you have luck, are you ready to leverage what the luck brings? And so, are you ready to jump at when you have a lucky break? Are you sitting and thinking about, oh, that was really good, but right now it doesn't fit into my life, so I'm just going to pass on this luck, right? So thinking about, and a lot of people who are facing adversity end up wallowing in the adversity instead of moving on, right? And so there's nothing wrong if somebody dies. You want to take the time to mourn and be in the moment, etc. But you also want to move on because you want to live your life, and you want to contribute by living your life, right? And so having that ability to say, well, this bad thing happened, but now I'm moving on. So, I mean, it happened in business. Nobody's growing a business without having adversity. And I mean, adversity is everything from staff members dying, right? I mean, those type of things happen, right? Which can be devastating when you're working closely with somebody, to big customers not paying, to projects that you worked on for 2 years not coming to fruition, to all those type of things. And if your mindset is, okay, I'm going to stay and mourn that and talk about what could have been for years and years, you're not moving on and leveraging your strength and your ability to grow the company.
Very nice. And another aspect of our being a woman, the spiritualism and the motherhood and compassion, just throw some light on that too for our audience.
Yeah, I think I'm always a little bit reluctant to make too many generalizations, right? So I think that women are, on average, more compassionate and collaborative, and I think especially the last year, being a compassionate leader has been a really important, it's been a real important leadership trait, just because there's been so much suffering and fear and change that really impacted everybody on a deeper level. And understanding that and helping guide people through that in a positive manner, and respecting their feelings around it, and factoring them into decision making has been a really important leadership trait this last year. Really important. I think just as much collaboration. I see the world moving more and more to collaboration, both internally in companies, but also over to partner suppliers, customers, a lot of third parties, and it's been. I see the world being a little bit less about us versus them, but more about us, right? You know, collaboration on a little bit of a bigger scale. And I have been working very much with my staff on the collaborative spirit with everybody. And that has resulted in us being really great at collaborating with everybody, and pulling many parties in. So many of the supply chain activities we're doing, we pull many parties in, not just one customer within a customer, but maybe many departments within that customer, maybe some of their suppliers, maybe some other suppliers that we want to pull in. So, you know, we can be sitting 10 different entities sitting at the table. If you're not very collaborative as a project leader, that project is going to implode. And so I think being collaborative is a real strength, and collaborative and innovative, those two are key words for businesses in our world now and going forward. And I believe that women are bringing a lot of strength in the collaborative area. But as we are talking about the difference between men and women, men are bringing other strengths in. And again, I think it's very important for everybody who talks about men and women to understand that there are men who are extremely collaborative and women who are extremely focused. So it's, you know, we've got to look at each individual and which strengths they bring, and not try to generalize too much. But if we look overall, women are bringing a lot of collaborative spirit to the workplace also. So that's, I think, very important for the future. And I believe it's one of the reasons we are seeing more and more women being going up the ranks. I don't think it's as much a question of the equal opportunity movement, much as I'm part of that. I think it's more that the skill set that women brings is just aligned with the times we live in.
Well put.
So, you know, generally I'm supposed to be the interviewer, but I turn into an audience when I'm interviewing somebody. I just flow with you. So listening to you, I think that whatever you said, there are so many things which can be quotable quotes. You know, I think you should do that work, and I will do it for you too, because so many pearls of wisdom you threw just now. And what I'm getting out of it is that what you said, the most important line is that you have to be purpose driven rather than maybe money driven when you're trying to make a successful business. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, certainly money is it's not that I'm not interested in money, right? But if you give me the choice between having a company that's world class, excellent at what it's doing, or super extremely profitable, I'll probably go for the excellence, right? Call me crazy, but I am very much into the purpose behind it. But that being said, we all need to understand that we need to live and we need to reward the employees. And that's, a big area of pride for me is being able, driving into the parking lot and seeing the employees' cars parked there and thinking about, they are taking home a paycheck, they are buying the cars, the houses, feeding their families, and it's part of the value I'm adding to their lives, not just having a place where they can go to work, right, but also getting something home to them. And if you're not watching the profitability of the company, then of course that implodes. You cannot pay people the salary, you cannot do the benefits, lots of things you cannot do. You cannot give back to the community the way you want to do. So you need to watch the what we call the triple bottom line, right? So that's profitability. It's social responsibility, and it's sustainability, right? So we are watching all of those things. So I am taking care not to poo-pooing making having a profitable company, because you do need to have a business plan, and you do need to watch the money and make sure that you have a business model that shows that eventually you make money. And when I mentor a lot of entrepreneurs, and especially women, and one of the big differences I see is women often undersell themselves. They sell themselves at too low hourly salaries when they're consultants, etc. And so I would be very reluctant to have an interview go public where I'm saying don't watch the money, because I'm always telling whoever I mentor, do watch the money. It's an important part of the business. Have a business model that shows that you can create a company, a strong company, and you can be purpose driven. And I think that most entrepreneurs automatically are purpose driven. I mean, you cannot start a company unless you really love what you're doing. And if you try to do it, my advice is don't do it, right? It's a lot of money. It's very involved to start a company, and it takes a lot of energy. So you need to love the purpose of the company. And at the same time, also make sure that there's a business model. Otherwise, it's a not-for-profit, which there's nothing wrong with, but even a not-for-profit needs to have money, right?
Yeah.
So,
So one last question I have from you. If you look at anybody's dream or wish list, first they want to have a big business, and then they say, oh, I want to retire.
Well, I think what happens if you choose the right business, right? I mean, don't start a business to start a business. I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur, but I wanted to do it based on something that was aligned with what I want to accomplish and what my background and what I knew I could make successful. So I think don't start a business to start a business, and understand that in order to grow a business successfully, it's a lot of work. So don't plan on everything going perfectly, right? That's another thing I see the spreadsheets when people come and say, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur and here's what my plan is. I've never seen a plan where they are counting in that there are setbacks, right? So, it's always 3 steps forward. And I have to tell them that there are years where it's 1 step forward and 2 steps backwards, right? And so you need to have that resilience built into you. It's probably resilience is one of the key personality traits of a successful entrepreneur. If you don't have resilience, you're going to just be wiped out pretty soon, right? So I'd say plan. Don't use this as a retirement vehicle, because it's going to take more work than you think. People are always saying this thing, getting back to my travel hobby, right? People are always saying this thing, when you pack, you take everything you want to pack out, you put it on the bed, and then you put half back in the closet, because you want to bring half as much as you originally had planned. But when you look at things like entrepreneurship and starting a company, you need 2 or 3 times as much money. And you need longer time, right? Things never happen as fast as you really want them to happen. So you need to think about whether it's right for you at that point of time in your life, and don't do it to cut down your hours. That being said, I've seen many successful women starting companies as a lifestyle business. They were home with the kids, they got bored, they saw some needs for something. They started up thinking they could do it out of the bedroom, and they were just golden from the start, right? Because they had a great business idea and they were passionate about it. And all of a sudden they are doing booming business, right? So I'm not saying it can't happen, and it can happen at any time in somebody's lives, but mostly it takes a lot of planning and dedication and time. So.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And we made you talk a lot, and I'm very happy, you spent time with us, very valuable. So we will come back to you again, give us some time, after some time, and then we'll learn more from you.
Thank you so much. I was really honored to be here, and I wish everybody a happy entrepreneurship. And thank you for everything you're doing.
You're very
Thank
welcome.
you. Stay well and stay wealthy, right?
Okay.